Hello, Chill Computer Guy. Today we're in Premiere Pro, and we're talking about something that's kind of a big subject with me, and that is archiving. I have a couple of YouTube channels. One of them is the Chill Computer Guy, and then the other one is Grouthead. Now, Grouthead is more actual film, whereas Chill Computer Guy is mostly screencasts, and those screencasts are a lot of them are music production tutorials. But unfortunately, what happens is about, I would say, 60 to 70% of the tutorials that I start, that I do the screencast, that I put in the editor, that I start cutting up, probably 60% of them never get finished. In other words, they never get titles put on them, they never get rendered out, and they never get published to YouTube. And so what I end up with is a bunch of unfinished stuff. Now, most things are not time sensitive. I mean, there's always updates with software. And so there's always the idea of going back into the archives and finishing half-done projects if I'm not inspired to make new tutorials from the beginning. And some of them are good. Some of them are junk. And some of them, I'm just going to archive, and eventually the archive is going to be put, onto an archive drive, probably a spinning drive somewhere, and probably into one of these little gray things here, probably into one of those things, and probably maybe on this shelf behind me or downstairs in storage. Who knows? The thing is spinning drives are coming down in price, and geez, I can't even. There's just a lot of terabytes of stuff that doesn't get done, and so you come to kind of a crossroads. Do you take the time to finish it, or do you just completely delete it, or do you archive it? And so that's kind of the subject of today's video. What I do is every screencast that I make, I put into Premiere Pro and start cutting it up. Now you'll notice that my audio track is pretty wide here. And why it's wide is because I do a lot of my cutting via the audio waveform, so I can zoom this in here. And you can see this is a tutorial for Photoshop that I never finished. But you can see that my audio waveform, when I'm cutting, I usually cut via the audio waveform. And that's kind of a trick. It's something that once I started doing that, the screencasting, because nobody wants to, me anyway, I don't want to cut up screencasts. It's boring. I like cutting up actual film. Cutting up actual film is exciting, but cutting up screencasts is pretty mundane and pretty boring. And so I barely even look at the screen. I mainly look at the audio and cut based on what's going on with the audio. If I trip around and have to say something twice or screw something up, I'm not going to cut it based on, the actual what's going on the screen. I'm going to cut it based on the dialogue that I'm seeing into the microphone. So I look at the audio form more than the video form. Now, this is a Photoshop tutorial, which is me cutting this Polaroid camera out, isolating it into a PNG, and then later on putting it on this web page that I built. And this tutorial, in my opinion, is quite good. But for some reason, I never finished it. I never published it, mainly because it's not music production, but I think that there's a lot of valuable stuff in this tutorial. I talk about how to cut stuff up, put that contrast down. I'm going to go smart radius 0. We're looking at this on red. I like red. Smooth is going to be 8. Feather is going to be 0.8. And shift edge is going to be -1 pixel. I find it better to not have a huge feather on here and subtract a pixel from the selection. That's just going to give you a nicer edge, in my opinion. Let's hit OK. Let's hit Control J. That's going to pop it onto the new layer. Let's go ahead and take the old layer, turn it off. You can see there's some problems going on. with this green because that background was green and there's lights and this is a reflective surface, so you're seeing the reflection of the green in there. That's a huge deal. So we got to remedy that. We're going to go hue saturation. We're going to get an adjustment layer. Under master, we're going to switch master to green, okay? And then we're going to put the saturation and the lightness all the way down. There goes that green. See you later, green. All right, next up, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're on the layer because we got to get rid of that price tag. We're going to hit Alt. It's going to zoom us in here. Hit the Z tool to zoom us in. I call it the poly lasso tool. But a poly lasso tool is a super underutilized tool. I love this tool. What you're going to do is you're going to come to the corner here, and you're going to basically drag this. You're going to click and drag this. It's going to keep you in a nice straight line there. I say it's definitely, as far as Photoshop goes, don't be overwhelmed by all the tools. Okay, when you come to the end, it's going to give you that double odd or the single odd. You want to click there, okay? But I say in Photoshop, don't get overwhelmed by the amount of tools. Just master 5 or 6 tools, and you're off to the races. With that selected, we're going to make sure we're on the layer because the selection is only going to affect the layer you have selected. We're going to right-click, and we're going to go Fill. And we're going to go Content Aware, hit OK. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. We're going to hit Control D, another handy shortcut, Control D. All right, so there's that. That's out of there. Now, while we're zoomed in, we're going to hit the hand tool here. And we're going to go to the quick selection or the Band-Aid tool. So the thing is I'm looking at this, I'm watching this, and this is a good tutorial. Never got finished, never got published. I don't know why. So what I did is I colored it green. Green is going to be the stuff that I'm going to come back to later, maybe finish, maybe publish, because I think it's good material. This brown here, this is stuff that is part of a tutorial that I once published, okay? So this is probably the B-roll of this tutorial which I published. So the yellow, you can see the yellow. These are things that have been rendered out and published. And a clear sign of that is if you see titles on. Now, I've already went over all this with yellow, but before I turned all this yellow, it was actually the titles were of a separate color, so you could easily tell. But that's a dead giveaway if there's a title at the beginning and end. I know that it's been rendered. I know that it's some of them. I actually had to go to my YouTube, put the YouTube on the separate monitor, and kind of look back and forth to make sure this stuff has actually been published. So the stuff that has confirmed and been published, I've turned this yellow color. And then the B-roll is this kind of tan color here. And so basically what I've done is I've gone through and I've, and you can see that this is November, December 2018 is the name of this project. So this is only a couple months worth of work. But you can see that it gets out of hand. Everything, before I go through and color code everything's going to be this blue color. So this blue color, these might be published, these might be unfinished. And so what I have to do is I have to go through here, and this is part of the archiving process, is go through here and see, okay, I see a title here. There's a title there, therefore this is probably a finished project, I'm guessing. A little piece of one project and be able to drag and drop from one project to the next, and being able to do all that and allocate exactly where you want your DSP to go is freaking amazing. And it's an amazing thing, and it's something that Reason... This is me freaking out about Reason 10. This was never published, okay? This is something I cut up. I spent, maybe an hour and a half cutting this up, putting titles on it, cleaning it up and whatnot. And I never ended up publishing it. And I'm like, yeah, this just sounds like I'm bitching about Reason. And that's all I do on my channel. A lot of what I do on my channel is I bitch. Is disabled, which means I talk about the fact that in Bitwig Studio, you can disable devices, disable projects. And in Reason 10, you're stuck. You're just like, you can only have one project open at a time. And so I'm talking about that here. You can see this project here. This is a Reason project, and you get this computer too slow to play song thing. And so you got to bounce everything. It just, it has to do with DSP allocation. And this whole thing is just, it's a talking head thing where I'm talking to the camera and I'm showing, little things about, it's the Reason, I think it was the Reason 10.2 upgrade where they've added this layered editing, which is really great. and it's a little rant. This is basically a rant that never got published because I'm like, it's too negative. And so it's still sitting on the timeline. What do I do with it? That's the question. What do I do with it? Do I just... So probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it green as well. And that's basically review, It's basically, I might look at it, I might cut some parts out, and I might publish it. Now here's another one. Again, it's got titles on it, so I'm assuming this has been published. Go down here to the arranger and click on that, and then go back to edit mode. It's a fucking... Okay, I know I've published this. Yes, this is audio editing. So I know I've published this. So what I do is I'm going to lasso all this. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to color. I'm going to turn this all yellow, okay? So basically what I do is I go left to right, and this is me archiving right here. I'm archiving. I'm like, because I leave this all just sitting on the timeline, half done. And this is a Premiere Pro tutorial here. You could get a relation between your footage in a way that's it's just really old school, and it's just always been my style. But what I'll usually do is whatever effect is being animated, I always have it run in the keyframe. And like I say, nothing's being animated in this actual clip. Anyway, so check that out. New to the transition, you can actually right. Okay, I think I remember publishing this. This is a real quick tip about transitions. Premiere Pro tutorial. I haven't been doing a lot of Premiere Pro tutorials. It's actually kind of my #1 love. I'm more into video editing and music production, but they don't do well. Adobe tutorials don't do well because the market's kind of flooded. Okay, here's some titles. These are just random titles that, I duplicate and drag to the front and end of finished projects. We're going to make those rose colored so you can clearly see them. And then we're moving on, What's this? This is a fade. But I didn't go. More Premiere Pro tutorials. Okay, I know I've published this as well. So again, lasso it. Turn it yellow. And this is archiving right here. Okay, so you can see that the brown stuff is probably, it's probably going to get dumped, or by dumping, this whole thing's going to go to archive, okay? But the thing is when you open this project, you're going to see this green bar down here, okay? Right where my face is at. There's a green bar, and it's going to load all this content onto a scratch disk. It's already done that, but there's so many clips. There's so much content in here. Like if you look at the actual project, there's so many clips in here that it has to load this all onto a scratch disk. And when it does that, it fills up your scratch disk. So that's part of our archiving, is you want to basically dump this into the archive and then delete your scratch disk. Okay? You don't want your scratch disk full, because my scratch disk is a solid state drive. I like the idea of having a solid state drive for a scratch disk. It's fast, but the thing is, it's a solid state drive. It's pay as you play. It's 35 shots to a roll of film. You don't want a billion different projects on your scratch disk. You want to archive things. So what I've done is I think I'm going to go to a 1-month block. I was in a 3-month block, and this is a 2-month block here. And so I'll create a project, name it, in this case, November, December 2018, and then there's the CCG, which is Chill Computer Guy, and then there's the Grout Head. So there's 2 different project files for those 2 YouTube channels. And they all use the same scratch disk. But the thing is when those months close out, I need to archive that and format my scratch disk and start a new project. That way I have a nice empty scratch disk. That way, that material, it's not gone, it's archived. But I'm not planning on opening that project really ever again. Because once I open that old project, it's going to once again have to render every single clip into the scratch disk. And that'll fill up the scratch disk. So that's the whole reason you archive. And like with computers and with ideas and with, limited amount of time, you really need to... It's just important to archive. It's very important to not just start throwing unfinished shit everywhere, because it's gonna catch up with you. You're gonna end up with a full scratch disk. You're gonna end up with a bunch of random projects. One day you're gonna be like, oh, where's that thing? That thing was brilliant. I want to finish it. Where's it at? And you can't find it. And so archiving is something that is important. And also, for me, it mentally does something for me. I'm extremely neurotic and organized, and if I have too many unfinished things on my plate, I start to freak out. I lose my ability to think. I'm very tangible. I'm a tangible person. In other words, I like to see what I'm working on. And with everything being on a little box inside another box, which is a hard drive inside it's just you can't see it. It's not tangible. And so archiving is very important in that reason. All right, so this is yellow. That's been published. What's this here? What's going on here? We just did it all in the afternoon. We've tried to find golden hour. Picked out a couple locations. We got 150 photos here. So the most important thing and the quickest thing that I would recommend doing is getting this down to 4- and 5-star pictures. Okay, this is the senior pictures. Me and my wife did some senior pictures. This is, again, it's a Photoshop tutorial that is good, but it never got done. Again, it's not music production and it's not getting any views, so I kind of put it on the back burner, but this is actually a really good tutorial. I talk about how to edit. I talk about, how to clean up the photo, how to make it, ready. Like, what's the difference between, a yearbook photo? What does that look like? You don't want too much processing. You don't want that grainy, hard bleach bypass look, although that's great. You want something you can use for a yearbook, something formal. And so this is a tutorial where I talk about a formal look, how to get that, because it's boring. It's boring, but it's a formal look. And the thing is you're going to give the person a formal look, and you're also going to give the person, that grungy bleach bypass look also. Right here, same thing, Photoshop tutorial. Hey, look at the moon. The moon is there. The moon is there, and now it's gone. So I, show you how to do the moon there. Same subject, yearbook photos. I talked about how to get rid of the moon. Again, I'm going to turn that green. It's something that I might go back to. But ideally, when you get all this archiving done, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up copying all these green clips and pasting them into a new project. And then once you do that, you can go up here to clips, or what is it? See, I don't remember where it's at. Is it project? Edit? Yeah, right. Or where's it at? Dang it. Remove unused. So once you're done, once you copy and paste all the greens to a new project, you go up here to edit, remove unused. Remove unused, okay? And then you save the project as an alt or as a updated version. And when you do that, now you delete your scratch disk, and when you open this project again, it's going to take 1/10 of the amount of space because you're only focused on the stuff that's, you're still going to put time into, okay? Here's another one, the way it's designed, and especially when you start to add... Okay, these are the sampler tutorials, the 3-part sampler tutorials. These are all done. These are pretty long-winded if I remember right. So yeah, there it is. How do I get the... Yeah, see, that's kind of annoying. Okay, so we've got it back now. Okay, these are all done, so we're going to turn them yellow. I don't know why I can't see the far right of the screen. It's like I don't like how I can't see. I would like to see mine. We got some missing footage here. Who knows what that is? It's probably not important. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Shot with an iPhone. Check this out. This is what's brilliant. And this is what's brilliant about Adobe Premiere Pro is you can use the lookup tables. This is shot with a cell phone. Check out this footage. It's been graded using Premiere Pro. No third-party plugin. This is just using the Lumetri color in Premiere Pro. And this is shot with a fucking iPhone. This was shot with an iPhone. And this is really, really quite dynamic, beautiful footage to be shot with something that you have in your pocket all the time. This was an iPhone 7, I believe, an iPhone 7. Me and my wife were out walking by the lake here. Shot this stuff with a... Normally I'm like, the phone, it's not even worth shooting video. It's not going to look good, but I humored it. I'm like, hey, I'm going to shoot this. The lighting, it was golden hour, first off. And so I'm like, I'm going to shoot this with an iPhone, put it into Premiere Pro, put some lookup table on it, some LUTs, because Premiere Pro has that now. And just unbelievable footage. This is slow-mo footage. Again, this is probably, I think I've done something with this footage elsewhere. I'm going to go ahead and color that, this tan color. I honestly don't think I'm going to do anything with that footage. What color is it? Was it brown? Yeah, brown. There we go. This is footage that I was probably just dropping it there because it was the project that was open at the time. It has nothing to do with anything, and I know it's probably in some other project somewhere else. In other words, I know this footage hasn't been cut, and I know where it's at, so I might as well just turn it brown and get rid of it because this has been done. I can tell by the titles. See the titles? See how you can see the titles at the beginning and the end? That's a clear sign that this tutorial's been published. And it has, okay? That's the sampler part 3. Label yellow. Okay, we're moving right along. Again, we have titles here, so we know this has been published. This is the that's the channels tutorial. MIDI channels. That's been done there. What's this right here? Some more unfinished. Oh, that's the Kavanaugh thing. That's a grout head. See, this is grout head stuff. I don't know what it's doing in the Chill Computer Guy. That's probably why the footage is missing, because this is all Chill Computer Guy stuff. So again, since this footage is missing, I'm just going to go ahead and, well, shoot. I'm going to leave it there. I wonder what this is. This is a CCG promo, huh? I'm not going to worry about it. It's probably nothing worth Oh, now this is a really eye-opening tutorial that I did. Not a tutorial, but I compare the reverb in Ableton to the reverb in Bitwig. And this was so like eye-opening and disturbing to me that I'm like, I can't publish this because it really shows the reverb in Ableton is really quite good, and the reverb in Bitwig is not that great. Good reverb, okay? Let's go back over to Bitwig here. Okay, same thing. We're going to put a drum loop in here. Let's go ahead and put it... let's go ahead and put the Ableton... let's go ahead and put the Bitwig... Look at me, I'm stumbling all over the place here. This is why I edit. Let's go back over to Bitwig. Let's put a reverb on here. Ah, Jesus, fuck. This browser. Here's the thing, man. This browser, I don't like the Bitwig browser. I want like something like just go to reverb under your... Where's the fucking reverb? I guess you could just type right there. In here, but I don't want to see right there. All this. Give me a choice. Like, how about if I just have... The reverb's right there. If I can leave it like this and just have a search field and type in reverb, I'd be much happier because this is just fucking nuts right here. This is when I was on a little bit of a hate craze with Bitwig right here. Huh? But you gotta see this real quick. It's right there. Reverb. There it is. Okay, so all right, we got the reverb. Let's go ahead and switch over to big. Look at this. Just all this dead end here. Look at this camera angle. This camera angle's terrible right here. See, I'm gonna move myself here. Whoops. See that camera? Let's go ahead and put a reverb on here. Oh God, this Ableton browser, it's way too... I know I could just put it in this... Yeah, I can't even... But this is something that is just long-winded. I think I was probably pretty beat up when I made this, but I know that I saw this thing going on with the Ableton reverb. Anyway, the Ableton reverb is far superior to the Bitwig reverb. Was basically the point of that video, but I couldn't finish it because I'm like, this is terrible. I'm like, Bitwig's going to be mad at me. I don't want to put I'm trying to not put negative shit out as far as softwares. There's certain things, as far as DAWs go, the competition between the DAWs and me speaking about it, I'm trying to kind of bring that to an end because I have very strong opinions about the user base and what the users want and what the DAW provides and all that stuff. So This is some Premiere Pro stuff. There's those ducks again. Again, on and on and on. Here. This is all just random stuff right here. God, that thing's cool. I don't know. I have this love-hate thing with Ableton. Ableton's a pretty cool DAW. But again, Ableton, it's flooded. It's really hard to make Ableton tutorials and get noticed because there's too many people doing it. There's already people that are good at it. You gotta fly the flag of new software, which is Bitwig. So that's why I do Bitwig tutorials. Vocal track, and then I pitch correct to whatever key my song is in, and then I parallel everything off of that into, sometimes 2 or 3, sometimes 4 different audio tracks, and then put different processes on there. I mean, I gotta have my Pultec high shelf on there. I gotta have my certain custom delay, maybe a little Echo Boy on there. No, I don't think I'm going to be getting Nectar 3 just because I find myself, I would just be using it for for me, if we could get it down to $100 upgrade price, maybe I wouldn't even pay that for it. What I would like is just the pitch correct. Here's the Nectar tutorial, which, I can't do all my vocal processing in one plugin. I'm just not that type of guy. I'm like really critically picky about my vocal production, and it takes several plugins. Oh, check it out! There's going to be a train right here. There's a train. Here, let's turn this on the big screen. There it is. All right, a train's coming. Hopefully this little smudge is entertaining in some way. I think a train's coming. I think. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's. Oh, I hear it. Do you hear it? Train's coming. Anyway, when I'm doing my tutorials, I often have on the auxiliary screen, I have the OBS open, and I also have a live feed train crossings. When I was a child, I lived by a train crossing, and so train crossings are. I mean, I lived in New York for a little bit. And subway I lived from the 6th train, right down the street from the 6th train. But for some reason, like rural train crossings just excite me. Something about the silence of the night, and then the loudness, chaos of a train deep in the night, just going through and disturbing the silence of the night with the heavy pounding of the iron train wheels. Is this thing fucking coming or what? Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. You can hear the train horn from miles away. Pretty soon. I'm not going to put any cuts in this video, so it might. Ooh. Back to complete silence. I mean, that was disturbing, wasn't it? It disturbed the night. I don't know. I'm fascinated by that. Let's go back to Premiere. I kind of want to... let's kind of turn that thing. Just that one green, I guess. Green. I might use that for some B-roll. All right, so there's that. And then we have this here. Again, go I ran as far as I could. Whoops, I forgot the words. Okay, so that's archiving. What we're talking about is archiving. That was one timeline here. So this timeline's done. As you can see, we went from left to right, and we color-coded everything. So the green stuff is going to get copy and pasted into a new project, which is going to be kind of a back shelf archive. But all the yellow and the brown is going to get deleted from the project, and then we're going to come up here to edit, and then we're going to go remove unused, okay? After we do that, we're going to delete our scratch disk, which are solid-state drives. And then we're going to reopen this project with just the green, okay, just the green clips, after we remove the unused, and it will once again populate the scratch disk, but it will be way less room than before we archived. So that's kind of the point here. Now, we do have two different timelines here. I don't know why. This is another timeline here, and this one I've already started doing. Whoa, there's two of us. Oh my God. What are you doing down there? I kind of like what's going on with this project here. You know, you just put a kick drum on there and it's very, very easy to really just pick and play, as I call it, and you can drag tons of these down. And to me, these are all, I'll probably rename these, there's the I'll probably, I want to get this all organized, I want to put in some, but the main thing about building templates here in Bitwig Studio is you can disable things, you can allocate the DSP in the way you want to, and it makes it so you can build extremely complex templates. I really like what's going on with this. I don't know why I didn't finish it. Actually, that jam that was just playing, I actually really like the feel of that. I'm going to turn that green and then maybe come back, maybe finish it someday. I don't even know what we're talking about. I think we're talking about templates. I did a lot of tutorials on templates. Same with this one here. Loops, they're all the same length. Hi-hats, the good of you. What is going on? Phonic, or the polyphonic version, Ooh, that sounds good. Easy. What? See, just watching this is making me want to open up Bitwig and start working on music. Bitwig does have a certain, it has a feel to it that is very inspiring. But yeah, again, I don't really know. These are not finished. I don't know what I was talking about. I don't know, like, the melody, the chord progression, the bass line, whatever. I'm thinking of actually, probably what I might just put these up as live casts, maybe. I don't know. I'll turn them green for now. These are yellow. These have already been done. What's this stuff here? The best drum bus compressor there is that I have found for the price. Oh yeah, API is a very good drum compressor. It doesn't sound as good on the hi-hats and stuff. It sounds good on the kick and snare though. If you are a fan of Bitwig Studio, Everybody you know that's a fan of Bitwig Studio, be sure to tell them, subscribe to the channel. Hold on, almost done here. Now, if you click on the first one, you hate this. Let's just put 6 of these in here, okay? I love it. These in your mix. You can put 8 of these. Triad, a sus2, a normal triad, which will select all your notes. Fine with this, but it is a very chord progression. That's weird. Look at this chord here. This chord, it's uplifting, but it's a minor chord. But this is a minor chord. So it's a minor. This is an inversion. Or no, this is a sus2. I don't know what's going on, but that's a decent sounding chord progression. Again, this stuff it's unfinished, but I like what's going on here. So I'm going to turn this green as well. This is green as well. And so that's that. One more thing I want to do because, shoot, where'd I put those? Those titles. Let's zoom in and see if I got, here they are. Wow, I went right to them. Look at that. Okay, so these are titles. That's the end title. That's the beginning title. What I want to do is I want to copy these to put them right near green. Put them right, actually, why don't I put them at the beginning here, or the end. I'll put them right here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna just basically kind of beat all this up. I'm gonna go here, hit delete, okay. I'm gonna kind of scroll down here, hit delete here. Okay, scroll down a little bit more. Hit delete here. Scroll down a little bit more. I'll just get rid of these titles. I already duplicated them. Hit delete here. So what we're doing is we're getting rid of all the yellow and all the just all the shit that it's already been published or is just junk. We're basically cleaning this thing up is what we're doing. And once we do this, which we have 2 timelines here, so that's kind of a lot. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of this right here. And something you also want to do is you want to bring these down to, the less heights. That way you can see all the tracks at once. So kind of minimize all that. Minimize. See, look at all this stuff that got left behind here. My, oh my. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff over here. What is that, titles? Those titles, what are these? Well, that's my circle. So what you can probably do is just kind of ghost float over all this stuff. It'll delete it all at once. Actually, why don't we, I don't want to delete anything over the green here. Let's go ahead and delete that. Delete that. Delete this guy. All right, what we can do is we can kind of start moving this stuff a little closer. Jesus, man, there's just stuff everywhere, isn't there? I'm going to open this up a little bit so I can see. I don't want it to lock onto anything because I don't want them to be touching. Okay, that's fairly close. But basically what you're trying to do is kind of butt this stuff together so you can minimize this stuff. Hit Control C, come over here, go to the end here, hit Control V. Control A, or Control C rather. Go down a little bit, Control V. Control C. Control V. And I think that's it. Jam and Rant, Jan 7th, Jan 8. Okay. So now you could kind of just go over here, delete this thing. This is a play around the legend right here. Just go ahead and just delete this whole thing. Cut it, delete it, whatever you want to do. Cut it. See ya. Go new archive, like that. Okay, go ahead and click on that. There's going to be the new archive right there. And so that's basically kind of what's left from that 2-month thing. And then what's going to happen is we're going to eventually go over this stuff in the next couple months. But this is much, much easier to deal with this than what we had before. So you want to go up to Edit. And you want to go remove unused, okay? See, look at that. Okay, you're going to end up with a bunch of folders here. And if they twirl down and there's nothing there, delete it, you know. Adobe, Archive, Frames, Logos. What I'd like to do is just, let's go ahead and tilde key this. And what I'm going to do is just pull all this stuff out of these folders. I don't want it in there. It's way harder to work with if it's in the folder. So to pull it out, you just kind of control click, just pull it down to the bottom there, or shift click, or whatever you want to do. Pull all these down. But it is good to make folders. Very good to make folders. Keep your projects organized, and you know, maybe you won't have to do it. Don't do what I've done. Don't do what I've done. Why is is this okay? So now that these arrows are facing down, you know that they're empty. So you can go ahead and delete all these folders now. And then you know, make sure remove unused. It's grayed out, so we don't have anything that. Okay, and then what you can do is you can file save this, save as December archive, okay? Only, archive only, and this is November, December, because I already consolidated the November, December here. And then we're going to save that in the new 2019 projects folder, okay? 2019 projects folder. CCG, there it is, okay? So now that we've done that, we can actually go to our Finder. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I have the darker interface with Windows. If you can't get your computer to do the dark interface, stay tuned, because I have a tutorial on how, because I know if you've already had Windows installed and you're like, oh, I went to dark interface and all my windows are still the bright white color, there's a trick to get the dark interface. So stay tuned to the channel. I'm going to have a tutorial coming up on that whenever I get around to doing it, because it's kind of tricky. But I figured it out, and it's actually really cool because I love having these windows dark. It's it's definitely made me feel better about working at night and work. I don't like the bright colors, you know. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to data. We're going to go to projects 2018. We're going to go to Premiere. And then there's that December, the one we just did. We're going to go in the old Z archive hide. Okay, so what that's going to do is you're no longer going to see it now in the title screen of Premiere Pro. And that's it. That's it. We have archived a project. And like I say, I will get to these loose ends in the next couple of months. Finish up these tutorials, get them published on Chill Computer Guy. We're going to have some new tutorials also coming up, but there's kind of a sneak preview of stuff that kind of fell through the cracks, stuff I didn't put enough time into. A lot of these have to do with Adobe software, Premiere Pro and Photoshop. So, you know, stay tuned for those. And I mean, if you're just on this channel for music production, we do have more stuff coming up on Bitwig Studio and Propellerhead Reason as well. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you sat through this. Again, this had no cuts. It's just sit with me for 40 minutes and see what the hell I'm doing here. What are we up to? Oh my God, 48 minutes. Man, if you sit through this and watch this, I want to thank you for being such a dedicated fan. But normally things are going to be cut up and they're going to be much shorter and to the point. But this is kind of a live style cast, which is something that I'm going to put out, more live style cast, which will have separate thumbnails from all the rest of the tutorials because I value your time. And so I like to cut stuff up and present something that's, you know, 10, 15, 20 minutes at the longest, instead of a big long rant with no cuts where I trip around and, you know, ramble on about some somewhat useless things. But this has to do with how to premiere projects here in Adobe Premiere Pro. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, comment below, let me know what you want to see, and tell a friend about the channel. Remember, not for beginners, not for experts, for everybody. Stay tuned, we'll have more good stuff coming up, and thanks again for tuning in. See you later. Bye-bye now.